People are rushing to withdraw their super. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Got my stein of coffee, and I thought we'd have a look at this article from news.com.au that's discussing younger people withdrawing their super and the risky decision they're making. You've seen a few of these articles about where they're warning people that taking out this $10,000 now and maybe another $10,000 next financial year can have tremendous impact. If they'd invested that 10 grand, kept it in there from when they're 20 and kept it there for 45 years, and if compounding interest continues for that period like it has in the past, even though we're facing an unprecedented economic challenge and potential global recession, you're missing out on all this money, even though banks around the world are printing like nothing. You're missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars. It may even buy you a loaf of bread if we get hyperinflation. So it's a risky decision people are taking. But we've had other people leave comments. One viewer left a comment. He's in the building industry here in Queensland, and he was saying that a lot of builders he's supplying to are getting lots of inquiries or quotes for projects, renovation projects, under $10,000. So people who've been forced to stay at home and thinking, we need to do up this dump. Or as Rachel suggests, maybe they've tried to do their own renovations and they're getting professional help in. I think that was a jibe at me, to be honest. Are they using that super money to add value to their property or simply to improve their quality of life? It's a decision a lot of people will have to make. Just think about it. You may die and not get a cent of that super. Or it may help you live a little bit more comfortably in an aged care home. Or it could improve your quality of life. Or you could invest it in doing up a room for maybe a family member that's lost their job and has had to move home to save money. We'll have to see. So if you have any other anecdotal evidence like that, guys, please let me know of these smaller renovation jobs. Are they starting to appear? It could be a good sign for the housing industry. I wonder if it was an unintended consequence of the super withdrawals. So young Aussies' risky decision to access superannuation early. It was supposed to help struggling Australians get through the pandemic crisis, but this controversial policy could harm one particular group. Well, young Aussies are already screwed over, really. It's going to be impossible for them to buy homes. The government is going to do everything they can to keep this property Ponzi scheme going. That's the feeling I'm getting. That's the concern I'm getting. They're going to turn on the migration tap to bring more people into the nation where unemployment and underemployment is already sitting at 25% of the workforce just to keep this going. They'll do everything they can. You've got the Property Council lobbying for $50,000 handouts to people, lowered requirements to get people coming over here just to fuel this property sector. And it's not affordable, guys. Housing is not affordable by any measure. And that's a problem for future generations. Because think about it. From a demographic perspective, if people haven't settled down, if they don't have the security, they're probably not going to have as many children. We're starting to see that manifest. What does that tell you for the future of your nation? The government's decision to allow Aussies to dip into their super early as the pandemic devastates the economy is likely to decimate young people's retirement savings. Earlier this year, the federal government announced retirement funds would be made available to those experiencing financial hardship because of the pandemic. Under the plan, eligible Aussies are able to grab $10,000 from their super this financial year and a further $10,000 in 2021, with applications being accepted through the ATO online service of MyGov. And it turns out that young people have been taking up the offer in large numbers, which could have a serious impact on their finances long term. Well, it depends on what they do with the money. If you take the money out of your super and you use it to decimate a 20% credit card and don't get back into that trap, that could be a good benefit, couldn't it? Could be a whole series of stress relief. It could be freedom for some people. I wonder how many have done it. We did read articles where people were taking the 10 grand and then losing it all online gambling, but that was really only one example. And then some people mentioned in the comments how they knew other people that did the same thing. So, yeah, a bit of anecdotal evidence there too, guys. According to new Treasury data, 1.4 million Australians have already accessed some of their super, and about a third of them are under 30. More than 463,000 people who have accessed super early are under the age of 30, while 23,500 are under 20 and 172,000 are between 21 and 25. So a whole lot of younger people are getting access to their money. I tell you, I wonder how many of them are getting their super out to use as a home deposit. I wonder how many are. Is there any way we can find that out? Is there any way we can find that out, guys? Because I bet you there are a lot of them that are just taking it out, sitting on it, because they're going to use it as a home deposit. Another 20 grand to a deposit? Don't tell me people wouldn't be doing that. And is that a bad thing or a good thing? You can sit it in your superannuation. You may never actually get access to that money. Or if you want to get into property that can allow you to get into it, at least have some stability in a home. Sure, you're a bank serf then for 30 years, but you can then decimate that mortgage. Where there's, gambling on the market. It's alarming because as financial expert and Women with Sense online financial platform founder Natasha Jansen previously told news.com.au, the younger you are, the more withdrawing super early could impact your retirement. For example, a 25-year-old who withdrew $20,000 from their super now could end up losing more than $130,000 when they retire, while the same withdrawal from a 35-year-old's account could represent an $80,000 loss of future benefits. But it's a cost-benefit analysis. You're potentially losing 80 grand. You're potentially losing 80 grand in the future, which is completely unknown, or you're decimating a debt that's costing you 22% interest per annum. That's instant. Or you're putting it off your mortgage. That's 3% per annum. Instant return. And this is a tax-free situation too. I mean, this is the thing, guys. I think the problem is, the danger is people taking all their financial advice from these articles that we're seeing. Yesterday, they were telling people to jump in the stock market. It felt like I was reading an advertisement. You need to talk to some accountants and some financial coaches, but some of them want them overcomplicated. And that's another thing I'm realizing. They tell you all, there's reality and where the psychology of, saving, spending, and investing sits, and just consumer purchases sits. And then there's the mathematical reality. Well, if you pay off this debt here, at a higher interest rate, you'll save more money in the long run, but it'll take you forever. Or you may not stick to it because you won't see that psychological goal. The snowball method, the debt reduction. So if you, rather than paying off the highest interest one, first, the theory is here you pay off the smaller one. You pay off that loan for $500, even though the interest is low. You pay off this other one just so you start seeing progress, and then you're more likely to stick to it. Financially, it's not the smartest thing to do. The smartest thing will be to attack the highest debt, but psychologically, it's better to attack the smallest one. So here's the thing. That's why there's two frames to consider. I mean, would you rather have that $80,000, take it out, and then just use it to pay off debt you've been carrying for 15 years? Or would you rather not have the debt and not have the $80,000? What's going to improve just the stress levels in your life on a day-to-day basis? See, this is the thing with superannuation, guys. The frustrating thing I've had in the past with it is, well, for two reasons. One, as a worker, having my super sitting there thinking, I've got all this money and, I can't use it as a deposit to get a home. All I want is security. That frustrated me. Then as an employer, when I got older, it frustrated me that staff didn't seem to appreciate how much they actually earned, how much they actually had. They didn't see the super. They didn't care. I had friends who didn't realize they hadn't been paid super until they got fired. And that's why they brought in all these super rules and everything. So that frustrated me to no end. Superannuation tends to grow over the long term. Not if you had not over the last couple of months, hey guys. And by taking out more than necessary now, people might miss an opportunity for future growth, leaving them with a lower retirement balance, she said. Early access to retirement savings should only occur under extenuating circumstances and needs to ensure it gets to those who need it most in an efficient manner. Yes, but it's people's money. They should have the right to it. They worked for it. The government already takes so much from us. Shadow Treasurer Jim Chalmers said Australians who had missed out on the JobKeeper wage subsidy had been forced to withdraw their super and argued young people were being disproportionately hurt. They will have devastating consequences for the type of income that they can rely on in retirement, he told reporters today. Okay, here's the thing. This is where this all seems like bullshit, these politicians worrying about people in the future, worrying about young people. When they're propping up a property sector, when they're through RBA, it's just printing money out of thin air when they're trying to push up inflation, which takes away from all of us. I mean, once you start looking at how money is created and just what's all going on in the world, I mean, just think about it. Think about it. Money is created out of thin air in foreign countries. Then it's used to purchase assets here in Australia. Then the wealth of our nation is slowly siphoned off out of complete thin air, out of nothing. You know, you just gotta roll with the punches, guys. You know, but they still need to tax us to death. And it's not to pay for things; it's to keep us all managed. Can you tell I'm getting more cynical? Paul Robinson recently launched a hashtag SaveOurSuperChange.org petition calling on the government to repay what he termed Australia's $50 billion superannuation people's loan. Oh boy, a Change.org petition. I'm sure that'll make a difference. The petition argues the pandemic should not leave the country with an even more entrenched retirement underclass in 30 years. Okay, here's the thing. Here is the thing. Regardless of your super, when you retire, the quality of life difference on if you own a home and if you don't own a home is substantial. It's huge. It's huge. People should be able to take advantage of this to buy a home. I'd also want, the policy I think we should all be pushing for is allowing people to write off the cost of interest on their primary residence. You know, even just once in their life, you can write that off. Why are you paying the government before you pay to have a roof over your family's head? You know, what do you think about that idea? So it demands the government commit to dollar for dollar super contribution matching for all accounts valued below $100,000 in 2022, up to a contribution value of $22,000. He told news.com.au he was concerned young people were being especially impacted by the super early release scheme, which he claimed has created an unnecessary political and economic divide between those that have accessed and those that have not. In the short term, young people have an opportunity to meet the financial demands of their everyday life, but superannuation was never meant as a national relief fund. The JobKeeper program was, Mr. Robinson said. Without the political motivation to remedy this situation sooner rather than later, meeting the projected budgetary shortfall in the age pension will become a defining political issue for young people today and generations to come. Oh, yes. I mean, do you expect to get a pension when you're older, guys? Do you expect that will exist? I'm sure some of the older viewers definitely will still get there. I don't know if the younger ones will. I don't know if Generation Z will, if it'll exist. You know? He said he had heard anecdotally of people who had used their super to buy things like cars at the expense of their future security. Well, here's the thing. I mean, it sounds bad. What if they bought a cheap car outright with cash rather than get into debt? What if by buying that car, you avoided $5,000 to $10,000 in interest payments? You know? And then in that time period of saved interest, you put it back into your super or you invest into other things, guys. It's not as simple as they're painting here. Although I'm sure a lot of people have done something stupid with it, but that's their right as people. We're not all cogs. Meanwhile, Rachel Hamlin, head of customer experience at Fairvine Super, told News.com accessing super early could be a huge help for some struggling Aussies. But she stressed it should be a last result, especially for young people. With so many people losing their jobs and worrying about keeping a roof over their heads and food on the table, the ability to dip into your retirement nest egg will provide a lot of families with some much-needed peace of mind to get through the next few months of unprecedented uncertainty, she said. Well, this is just adding to the fact that people have not prepared. Australians don't have emergency funds, guys. That's the sad reality. That's what I'm coming to terms with more and more. More and more. As the more I'm looking at this, more I'm reading this stuff. You know, I got an Afterpay ad on a video the other day. An Afterpay ad. You know, it's really good. It's helping with the finances. You know, I don't use my credit card as much. With that said, accessing your super early should be a measure of absolute last resort. That money is there to help fund your retirement, and draining it unnecessarily may cause you serious financial hardship in the future. If you do need to access the payment, consider taking only what you'll need to get by and also reinvesting money you don't end up using back into your super. It was a sentiment echoed by the Australian Securities and Investment Commission Senior Executive Leader, Financial Capabilities, Laura Higgins, who told news.com.au Aussies should think carefully before accessing their super early. You might have major financial obstacles to overcome and have very good reasons for accessing your super now, she said. But before you withdraw your super, know all your options. See if there's government assistance you can access and speak to your bank or lender about how they can help in your situation. Money withdrawn and spent now is money you won't have invested for the future. And go to moneysmart.gov.au to make an informed decision. I like it how whenever we read one of these articles, it's always an example of go to the government, see what support you can get here. When it's me giving people advice, it's fast for a week to save money. It's good for you, you fat bastard. It is, honestly. It is. You can get cellular autophagy. If you haven't done it, have a look into it, guys. It's not the end of the world. If you haven't gone a week without food, hey, it's a life experience. Aren't we a generation now? Everyone just is all about experiences. You know, hashtag fast savings. You know, sell scrap metal. You don't get much for it, but it's money. You know, sell stuff you have around the house. I got an Xbox I need to push once the economy wakes up a bit. You know, that should be a game. See how much extra you can pay off your mortgage by selling crap around your house. You know, should make that a challenge. Anyway, guys, what do you think? Have you withdrawn your super early? Are you just using it just to get by? Or have you taken it out and used it to decimate some debt? Do you think the government should be the one that give you permission to access your money? Or would you rather have access to it? As always, please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and you'd like to support us, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us via our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint or support us via PayPal. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.